In fine dining circles, a chef's name is often the ultimate calling card. But in San Francisco, police say one former star traded that cachet for a crumpled demand note. According to the San Francisco Police Department, the crime spree began just after noon on September 10, 2025. A man entered a bank on the 1100 block of Grant Avenue, quietly slid a handwritten note to a teller, and walked out with a bag of cash. No gun, no shouting, just a terse message and a fast exit. Within hours, two more banks in the same central district were hit with the exact same method. Surveillance footage and witness statements pointed to a single suspect, 62-year-old Valentino Luchin, once a celebrated name in the Bay Area food scene. Investigators from the SFPD robbery unit, aided by tips from community members and the department's ambassador program, tracked him down and arrested him without incident. Luchin was booked into the San Francisco County Jail on 2 counts of robbery and 1 count of attempted robbery. If the name rings a bell, it should. Luchin's resume reads like a North Beach highlight reel. Born in Italy, he rose to prominence as executive chef at the landmark restaurant Rose Pistola, then went on to own and helm Ottavio in Walnut Creek, before that venture closed in 2016. For years, his menus attracted food critics. Now, his plight attracts police blotters. This is also not his first alleged brush with bank robbery. Back in 2018, Luchin was arrested for holding up a Citibank in Orinda and making off with $18,000. In that earlier case, he admitted using a fake gun and later described his decision as a good plan, but it was not. At the time, he blamed mounting debt after Ottavio shut its doors. He said, "We've been struggling a lot financially, and I have a family," in a jailhouse interview, insisting he never meant to hurt anyone and wouldn't know how to load a real firearm. 7 years later, the circumstances appear eerily similar. Same financial pressures, same nonviolent tactic, same dramatic fall of grace. Authorities have not revealed how much was taken in the latest heists, but the charges alone threaten to extinguish any remaining spark of Luchin's one-time culinary legacy. For restaurant veterans, the tale is especially jarring. Professional kitchens prize discipline, precision, and timing, the very qualities that seem to have resurfaced here, albeit in service of a far different recipe. The ease with which the suspect allegedly moved from bank to bank suggests planning, yet the simplicity of a handwritten demand note underscores a desperate gamble. As the legal process unfolds, the case raises larger questions. How does someone transition from cookbook mentions and critic reviews to criminal records? What pressures push a once acclaimed chef to trade truffles and tagliatelle for teller windows? And at what point does the pursuit of financial survival cross a line no reputation can reclaim? Valentino Luchin now awaits his day in court. Whether the defense echoes his earlier explanation of crushing debt remains to be seen. What's clear is that in a single afternoon, the man who once plated delicate Italian cuisine allegedly scripted a trilogy of bank robberies, leaving diners, colleagues, and an entire city to grapple with the bitter aftertaste of a career gone terribly awry.
In a case that weaves together law, politics, and family ties, veteran federal prosecutor Maurene Comey is suing the United States government after being abruptly fired from the Justice Department. Comey, best known for her work on the Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs prosecutions, contends she was dismissed not for performance, but because of her last name. She is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, a longtime critic of President Donald Trump. Maurene Comey arrived at the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York in 2015, fresh from Harvard Law School. Over the next decade, she handled some of the office's highest-profile matters, among them the sex trafficking case against Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, a patient abuse case against a prominent gynecologist, and the recent charges leveled at music mogul Combs. Internal reviews praised her work as outstanding, and she accumulated awards and promotions along the way. That career trajectory ended sharply on July 16, 2025. Comey received a brief email invoking Article 2 of the United States Constitution as the authority for her termination. No reason was given. Only the day before, she had been tapped to lead a major public corruption case. When she contacted her boss, United States Attorney Jay Clayton, for an explanation, he reportedly told her, "All I can say is it came from Washington. I can't tell you anything else." On September 15, 2025, Comey filed suit against the Department of Justice and the Executive Office of the President. The complaint calls her firing unlawful and unconstitutional, alleging it was driven by political animus toward her father. She seeks reinstatement, back pay, and damages. The backdrop is the long-running feud between James Comey and President Trump. Trump fired the elder Comey as FBI director in 2017, and the two have sparred publicly ever since. Maurene Comey's attorneys argue that the daughter became collateral damage in that battle, in violation of the Civil Service Reform Act, a law meant to shield career government employees from political retaliation. While a president has broad hiring and firing authority over political appointees, career civil servants are supposed to be insulated so that cases rise or fall on merit, not loyalty. Comey's dismissal is not an isolated event. It follows a string of firings and forced departures of career prosecutors and FBI officials, prompting critics to warn that the Justice Department's independence is eroding. The administration counters that Article 2 gives the president sweeping power to manage the executive branch. Legal experts say the lawsuit could test the limits of that power. If a court finds that a career prosecutor was removed for purely political reasons, it could reinforce protections for the civil service. If the government prevails, future administrations might feel emboldened to act more aggressively against employees perceived as disloyal. So far, the Justice Department has declined to comment on the case. Maurene Comey, meanwhile, remains out of work while the lawsuit moves forward. For a prosecutor who has spent her career pursuing accountability, the roles are now reversed. She is the plaintiff, and the government is in the dock. The outcome may determine not only her future, but also how secure other career officials feel when politics and the rule of law collide. After nearly 3 weeks of rare September silence, the Atlantic is starting to stir again. A broad area of low pressure labeled Invest 92L has emerged in the central tropical Atlantic, hinting that the season's quiet stretch may be coming to an end. Why has it been so calm? Two main antagonists have kept storms at bay. Saharan dust, dry, dusty air streaming off Africa, robs the tropics of the moisture storms need to grow. And wind shear. Strong, shifting winds aloft tear apart young storms before they can organize. Together, they have held the 2025 season below average so far. We've seen 6 named storms and only 1 hurricane, Erin, a powerful Category 5 that stayed safely out at sea. Now all eyes are on Invest 92L, currently a disorganized cluster of showers and thunderstorms about halfway between West Africa and the Windward Islands. As it drifts west-northwest, it will encounter warmer water, lighter shear and less dust, conditions far more welcoming to development. The National Hurricane Center gives it a 90% chance of becoming at least a tropical depression within the next week. If its sustained winds reached 39 miles per hour, it would earn the name Gabrielle and become the 7th named storm of 2025. Where might it go? Because the system still lacks a well-defined center, exact projections are shaky. Early computer models point to a dip in the jet stream over the eastern United States. That dip should act like a guardrail, bending the storm northward and keeping it over open water. For the moment, the mainland United States appears to be in the clear. Bermuda, however, should monitor forecasts closely. Some long-range guidance brings the system in its general direction next week. The Caribbean islands face no immediate threat, but as always with a developing storm, the outlook can change quickly. Even if Invest 92L never reaches land, its arrival is a timely reminder that the calendar still favors hurricanes. The official season runs until November 30th, and history shows plenty of activity after the September 10th peak. In late September and October, the birthplace of storms often shifts closer to home, targeting the Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico. That means coastal residents from Texas to New England and throughout the islands should keep their plans and supplies ready. Big picture, forecasters still expect an above-normal year. NOAA projects 13 to 19 named storms in total, with 6 to 10 becoming hurricanes. We're only halfway to those upper numbers, so the window for additional activity is wide open. A new disturbance, Invest 92L, has a high chance of strengthening and could become Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Current model trends favor a track that curves safely out to sea, but Bermuda should stay alert. The recent lull does not signal the end of the season. Late-season storms often form closer to the United States and Caribbean. Preparedness remains essential. One landfalling storm can define an entire year. Stay tuned to reliable forecasts and have a plan in place. The Atlantic may have been quiet, but history shows it rarely stays that way for long.